We did our first session, who we are, and we understood that we are not this physical body, but we are souls. And then we understood what soul is, that I am a soul, a point of light. I, the soul, am eternal, immortal, imperishable, and living being. And this is my body. I stay in this body. I am the owner of this body, but I am not a body. I am the master. I am the owner of this body. I am a tiny spark of soul. I am light. And this soul resides here at the center of the forehead and controls the whole body. And I, the soul, I am peace, I am happiness, I am love, I am purity, I am made up of all these qualities, these spiritual qualities that we are looking for. Why are we looking for? That also we understood that we have forgotten ourselves, and when we introduce ourselves, we only introduce this body. And so we have literally forgotten our own original self, and so we have lost our qualities. So we understood, and I hope you all have done your homework that I'm going to ask you at the end of the session, that what you did. And then we understood how soul functions in the body. The most powerful tool that we all have received, that is our mind, that creates thoughts. So it is not the body who is thinking, it is the soul who thinks. It is soul who creates emotions. It is a soul who see through these eyes. It is a soul who listens to through these ears, who speaks, who is using this mouth to speak. So in general, we understood I am a soul and not this physical costume. And today we are going to talk about our original residence. I remember Shakespeare said that we are actors and we have come to this world to play our part, which means this world, this physical world, is a stage. It's not a home. And I also remember in a Muslim religion, they said we are musafir. Musafir means the one who is on the journey. And we have come here to play our part because this is the guest house, Musafir Khana, right? So we are travelers and this world is a guest house. And that is the reason nothing belongs to us, including this body. You know, when we go, even we leave this body here because it is not belong to me. It is made by this world, the world of matter. So today we are going to understand that we are actors and we have come on this stage to play our roles, but actor comes from his home. So where is our home? So because we have forgotten our original self, we have lost or forgotten the way back home. And it is very simple. There are two dimensions, only two dimensions. One is incorporeal dimension and second is this corporeal dimension. This is the world, planet Earth. We can say it is the earth of matter. There are 5 elements. It is a physical world where everything is physical and perishable. But I, the soul, belong to the soul world. That is called the incorporeal world. Nothing is corporeal there. I would like to show you an image that can maybe help you to understand where we have come from. You can see this is planet Earth, where we have come, and this is a golden red light world where we all souls in a form of stars or a tiny lights. You can see it. There is no human form. We are lights, and so our world is a world of light, and this is called also a soul world. So we all know, even the scientists talk about this physical world, but we have forgotten our home. So where we have come from, we are not from this physical dimension, but we have come from somewhere up. But from where up? Beyond this sun and moon, beyond this sky, there is a spiritual dimension. It is golden red light world. Why do we say golden red light world? Because when you light a candle or a lamp, or you just see the sunrise and the sunset, it's a beautiful golden red light, right? And so that is the world of light, and it has so many names. We call it the land of liberation, because when we souls are liberated from our bodies, from our roles, and from all the physical bondages. So when we are liberated, we go to our home. So that's why it is called the land of liberation. It is also known as Shanti Dham, means the land of peace, where we souls reside in our original form. And what is our original form? Peace. Our original religion, peace. And so our home is land of peace. It is also known as soul world, incorporeal world. In Buddhism, they call it Nirvana Dham, means the world beyond sound. And there is no movement, because there is no game, there is no drama. It's just a home. There is complete stillness, and this is where we all belong to. And from there we come to this stage. We take these different bodies, means different costumes, and to play our different roles. And when this film, when this drama ends here, we all have to return to our original home. Okay, so that is my home. So you can see, I am peace. My home is also land of peace, and still we are looking for peace. That means the link is not connected. Something is missing. We have forgotten something. And I'm sure in these 7 days we are going to connect. We are going to get the link back. Okay. Now, there is another thing that is needed for meditation, because meditation means connection. And connection means 2 things are needed. So one is I. So I have to know who am I, means who is connecting. Okay. And the second is to whom I have to connect. And so here we talk about the most powerful, almighty authority, or the supreme soul, the powerhouse, you can say. And we all souls are batteries, so we need to connect to the powerhouse, who is ever in his qualities, who never deteriorates, right? So we can call him powerhouse. So today is about who God is. It's another theory. There are so many opinions, many opinions about God. Who is God? Uh, there are many opinions. I would like to say few opinions which are, very common. Some say nature is God. Second would say soul is supreme soul. Atma so Paramatma. Soul is supreme soul. Someone would say nature is God. Someone else would say soul is supreme soul. Third person would say that I am a form of God. I am God. There are many who call themselves God. And someone else would say God is omnipresent. Everywhere, wherever you see, there is God. And someone else would say, well, God does not exist. Eat, drink, and be merry. Right? So there are many opinions about one. But there is one common, very common opinion, and that we all say God is one. There is no one who would say there are two gods or four gods. No, there is only one God. And definitely there cannot be two gods. There is only one God. But today we are going to understand who is that one. Sometimes, we have so many gods and goddesses, and then we say, well, everyone is one. How can you and me be one? Is it possible? It's not possible. So definitely we have to know, we talk about one, but who is that one? Okay. It is like, when you enter in a house and there are three kids, right? And you ask them, who is your father? And you receive different answers from all three. So what are you going to think? Maybe they don't have one father, or they don't have the correct and accurate introduction of their father. And so the same thing applies to us. We all say that Father God is one and we are his children. But when we talk about that one, the introduction is different. We give different opinions, but still he is one. So before we understand who is that one, let us understand whom can we call God. Whom can we call God? And it's not difficult to know God. Once I know myself, it's very easy to know my Creator. Okay? And so there are 5 things you can say. Maybe just 5 points to measure whom can we call God. And if I am wrong, you can correct me. But you have to think about it. Okay? So these 5 points, it's kind of measuring whom can we call God. And in that, the one who is the highest on high can be called God. Means he is highest on high, there is no one on his head. Means he is our father, he is our mother, he is our teacher, he is our guide, but the one who does not have his father, his mother, his teacher who can give him knowledge, or his guide who can, guide him. The one who is highest on high can be called God. Okay. Second, the one who is beyond, the one who is beyond the cycle of birth and death. Hmm. Happiness and sorrow, or action and reaction. These are there are different cycles. And so when we come into the cycle, our degrees, go down. Like the battery, the percentage of the battery goes down according to the time. But God is the one who is beyond the cycle of birth and death, who never takes birth. Birth means who never takes the womb of a mother, because he does not have a mother. He is highest on high. So he is beyond all the cycles, and that is why we call him liberator, right? Oh, liberator, come and liberate us. Liberate us from what? From these cycles, right? So if he himself comes into the cycle, he cannot liberate us. Yeah. So second point to measure who God is, whom can we call God, is the one who is beyond the cycle of birth and death can be called God. Third, the one who is the knower of three aspects of time: the past, present, and future. Or in other words, you can say the one who has the knowledge of the beginning, the middle, and the end of this drama, of this cycle. Because he is beyond, so he has the knowledge. And that is why we call him ocean of knowledge. He is knowledgeful. It does not mean that he knows what is going on in each one's mind. That is not his business. But he has the knowledge of the beginning, the middle, and the end of this world, which means our past, present, and future. Okay, so the one who is knower of three aspects of time can be called God. Fourth, the one who is always benevolent. Benevolent, who does only good to all, always. There are also some charitable souls, human beings who does, charities and good work, but not always and not to all. And even, unintentionally, if I want to do something good to you, maybe unintentionally, it is possible that someone else might get hurt, right? So my actions, means any human being's actions, are not always for all benevolent. But the one who is always benevolent for all can be called God. Fifth, the most important, the one who is accepted by all the souls of the world. Means the one who is accepted by all the religion can be called God. Because God is not the father of one religion, of one community, one nation. No, he is the supreme father of us souls. That's why we call him Supreme Soul. He's the father of all the souls of the world. And so the one who is accepted by all can be called God. Clear? Very simple 5 points to know God. I will repeat. 1, the one who is highest on high can be called God. Second, the one who is beyond the cycle of birth and death. Third, the one who is the ocean of knowledge, means the knower of three aspects of time. Fourth, the one who is always benevolent, benefactor. And the fifth, the one who is accepted by all the souls of the world, of religion, of all the religions. So now let's see what is that, or who is that that is worshipped in all the religion? If I ask you some questions regarding this, I have 3 questions to ask you. You can signal me by saying yes or no. So, if we see these 5 points of measuring God, whom can we call God? So, my first question is, can we call ourselves, maybe like you and me, like us, ordinary human beings, can we call human beings God? What is your reaction? Yes or no? Can we call ourselves God?
Yes.
Yes. Can we call ourselves God? You confused or what? You just have to
No,
see. We cannot call ourselves God. Not even 1 point belongs to us. We are not highest on high. We have taken birth, right? And we are not accepted by all souls. So, no point to be noted, because we cannot call ourselves God. So, no human being can be called God. No human being. Okay. My second question. So, can we call all those, great souls, pure souls, charitable souls, God?
no.
We cannot.
No, you.
Exactly. So they are still human beings because they have done great work. So they become great soul, not great supreme soul. Some souls have done charitable actions, so we give them title charitable souls, but yet we don't call them charitable supreme soul. Some souls are very pure in their actions, so they become pure souls, but not supreme soul, right? So we cannot call ourselves God. We cannot call all those gurus and great souls and pure souls God, right? And my third question is, so can we call all the deities, divine soul, like Krishna, all those divine souls, deities, can we call them God?
No.
Not possible. Not at all. Not even 1 point. Yeah, because it is not accepted by all the religion. And we have seen their stories where they are born and where they are raised up, right? So we cannot call ourselves God. We cannot call all those pure, charitable, and great souls, supreme soul, or even we cannot call all these deity souls, divine souls, God. So who is God? What is that sign that is accepted by all the religion? I would like to start with Hinduism, because there are so many gods and goddesses. They are worshipped as God. But when we go, like when the Hindus go to their pilgrimage places, there we have 4 pilgrimage places, that is called Somnath, Amarnath, Pashupatinath, and Vishwanath, right? So in those pilgrimage places, there is an oval shaped image, a black oval shaped image, and that is called Shiv Ling. Now Shiv means, it's a Sanskrit word. Shiv means benevolent. And Ling means a shape. Now oval shape, it has another name that is very interesting. It is called Jyotirlingam. It is called Jyotirlingam. Now Jyoti means light, and Ling means shape. You know, even if you light a candle or a lamp, the light on top is oval shape, right? And so, because Hinduism is known for their worshipping, so they make big oval shaped stones, and they still put one dot in the middle. So, in essence, in Hinduism, God is Jyoti, means light. The one who does not have any human form. They have worshipped an oval shaped image, that is light. Okay. Now, when we go to Christianity, again, Christ never said that I am God. Worship me. No, he said, I am child of God. And very simple words he have said that God is light and I am his child. Now another line he adds here, Christ adds one another line. He says, God is light and he has created me in his form, in his image, which means Christ was aware of his own identity, that I am not this physical body, but I am light. I am a soul. And so my Father is also light. Okay, so in Christianity, when they go to church, they light the candle and they remember God in the form of light. When we talk about Buddhism, they also have an oval shaped red colored stone, and that is known as Chinkonseki. Means he is peace giver, the ocean of peace, and who does not have a human body. So that is also an oval shape, oval image, which means light. In Islam, in Muslim, they also don't believe in any image, any idol. But when they go to Makkah and Medina, Makkah, Medina for their Hajj, in the Kaaba, there is again an oval shaped stone. And they call it Sange Aswad, means purifier. And that is why they have a name, at least in their life once. They have to go there and they believe that they will be purified because God, Allah, is purifier. And you know, in their prayers, when they go there, they sing a prayer and it says, Noore Ilahi Allah Noor Hai. Right? Allah Noor Hai. Noor means light. Allah is light. When Moses went on the mountain and he had a vision of God, he again saw light. And Parsi religion also, they worship fire. Now fire is another form of light. So in essence, if we see in all the religion, we all are connected to only one, and that is light. Now my name is Dharti, right? Someone will call me sister, someone will call me auntie, someone will call me mother, but I remain the same, right? So in the same way, God is point of light. You can call him Allah, you can call him Jehovah, you call him Shiva. It doesn't change his form, right? But it changes our relationship with him. But he remains the same. Okay, so who is that one? That one is God, and he has only one form, and that is point of light. How? The soul is invisible And so the Supreme Soul is also invisible. He cannot be these big stones. Otherwise, he will be visible to us. But he is invisible. And in fact, his name gives us his introduction. We call him Supreme Soul. Supreme plus soul. Now we have understood what soul is. God is also a soul, means energy. But he is supreme. Now, supreme does not mean that he is a big light and we souls are tiny point of lights. No, he is not supreme in his size. He is supreme in his attributes. Means yesterday we understood I am peace, I am love, I am happiness. And so my Father, God, is ocean of peace. He is ocean of love. He is ocean of happiness, ocean of purity, ocean of knowledge, bestower of happiness and remover of sorrow. Which means, sometimes we say it is God who gives happiness and sorrow, both. No. Imagine if I am the one who gives you sorrow, then why would you remember me at the time of sorrow? Usually, we forget him when we are happy. And when we have some pain, immediately we start remembering him, calling out for him, seeking his help. So, which means he is only giver of happiness. He doesn't give us sorrow. And so we understood who is God is one, but what is his form? He is light. Now there is another question for God. Where is he? Because we have to connect with him. So we have to know his location, his introduction. So we are going to, yesterday we understood who we are, what is our profession, where is our location, what are we made up of. So in the same way, today also we will talk about who God is, what is his location, what is his profession, and what he does and what he does not do, etc. So let's talk about his location, because it's very important. But before we understand his location, we have to ask ourselves, why do we need his location? Imagine, anyway, today, because of technology, we are able to connect. But if you want to come to meditation center, you want to learn meditation, but you don't have the right location. You don't know where the center is. So, definitely you have to stumble around. And also, you have to ask few people that do you know where this meditation center is? Now imagine that you come to a place and where you are asking someone, do you know where the center is? And this person says, yeah, you go, 5 kilometers from here, and he gives you an address. But you don't find there anything. So again, you have to ask someone. So this process continues until you reach to the right place. Now today you come to the center, and second day, do you think you have to still ask few people that where the center is? No. Only this first time, because you didn't know the location. Once you have seen the location, you have been here. Second day, you don't have to ask anyone. You don't have to stumble here and there. You don't have to go. Straight, you think I want to go to the center, and you come because you know the location. Same thing happened with God. First, we lost our identity. We lost the way back to home. And then we also forgot our Father. And so definitely if we want to meet him, we have to ask so many people, you know, this guide and this guru and this sannyasi and this sadhu and this religion and that religion. But until you come to him, until once I know him, once I know his location, then I don't need anyone. I don't have to ask anyone, right? And then he is just a thought away. And so it is important to know his location. But before we know, I'm going to tell you where he is. But before we understand this concept of home of God, there is one very big contradiction or another opinion, and that is God is omnipresent. I think there is only 1 minute remaining, and I'm requesting you and reminding you, you will go disconnect, reconnect, same ID, same password, and then we will continue the concept of if, whether he is omnipresent or he has a location. Okay. Till now, is it clear? You can just give me a signal.
Yes.
Okay, very good.